What makes you nervous no matter how many times you do it? Drive in front of a police officer when I have no reason to be nervous. Sticking my hand inside the disposal when I drop a fork in it. I've seen people telling me to unplug the disposal. How does one do that? Approaching a green light that has been green too long, but you are getting to the distance where you don't know whether or not you should stop or if you can stop. Going to local bars when I'm not a local lol. Those motherfuckers can like smell you're not from there even if you live the town over. They all stare at you like you're an outside who needs to leave. So strange. The CEO at my company used to occasionally take employees out to lunch. He's a really cool guy, but I am really introverted and it was excruciating trying to act like I have a great personality and have ambitions and drive. Tuning my violin. Using my table saw, even though I am a carpenter. Putting my luggage in the overhead storage on a plane. Major anxiety like what if I'm the last person on the plane and have to run around and look for a place to put my luggage. Using a mandolin slicer. Even using the safety guard I get a little queasy when I have to use it. When my boss goes, "Can we just have a quick chat?" Anything that has to do with my car. I have been scammed even over a simple oil change. Even if I try to be confident, it's very clear once I start talking that I have no clue about cars. Literally had someone quote $400 to change an air filter. I said no because I could not afford it. Found out later how insane that quote was. Sadly, that just fueled my fear. Finding a tick on my body. Anytime I hand edit a database. Driving past, behind, in front of a cop. I've got a clean record and I don't do anything illegal, but I feel like they will pull me over anyway. And I start to panic if they continue to follow me, even when on main roads. I look back every 5 seconds to see if they turn their lights and siren on to pull me over. Paranoia? Calling off work. Flirt. Ask someone out. Trying to mingle, start conversations in social settings where I don't know anybody. Surprise guests. Edit. I don't frock my guests, I just meant having them happen. Job interviews. Walking over a storm drain with my keys in my hand. Driving in between 2 semi-trucks on the freeway. Bonus points if one or both is carrying a bunch of logs. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Thanks strangers for the rewards and commiserating. For the record, I am very aware that this is something one should not do unless you have to. The only times this happens to me is if I am in one of the middle lanes on a 4 or 5 lane highway and semis come up on either side. In those cases, I speed up as quick as I can to pass one or the other. Always drive defensively. Climbing a ladder. When the plane I'm on is taking off. Let's break ourselves into small groups in. For context, I routinely work with 460 volts at about 40 amps. Turning it all on for the first time. So many times I have done this. I have trained people how to do it. I have never once done it where had I not done it right I could have been injured. Yet still every time I almost hear a voice. This is it. This is the moment in the video. Shown by insurance companies for safety training, where it starts playing. All that comes next is pain and blackness. I know it is absurd. I tested the wires. I made sure that I have a power sequencing plan. I know the SCCR. It won't explode because there literally is not enough energy to explode, and even if it did the cabinet would protect me. Walking out of a store without buying anything. Edit. Thank goodness I'm not the only one. Sounds like there are literally dozens of us. Going into small businesses that I haven't been in before. At meetings when they say, "Okay, everyone, let's go around the room and introduce yourself." Even worse when they require stupid things like, "Include your favorite food and why you like it." Or, "Tell us why you're here." Because it's mandatory? Public speaking. Waiting for a result. If I even think about an exam for which the results haven't been declared, I get a lot of anxiety. Currently waiting for the results of a very important exam I gave in Feb. My heart rate is 120 while writing this. And now I have stomachache. FML. Installing Christmas lights on my house. I work in a level 1 trauma center and see people who have fallen from their roofs installing Christmas lights several times a year. Calling someone on the phone. I'm a fairly outgoing person and I love talking to people. But I rely a lot on seeing a person's face and observing their body language, which isn't possible on the phone. Voicemails are less terrible. But I still panic a little because if I mess up while leaving a message, the other person has a freaking recording of me being really awkward. I'm so thankful texting exists. Edit. Oh. And I always end up having a coughing fit, and because the only person I ever talk to on the phone is my grandma. And I always close by telling her I love her. I live in constant fear of mistakenly telling a random person I had to call that I love them. Coming out of my room when guests are visiting. Poop in someone else's house or away from home. Answering the door. Sometimes I just don't. Have a cop behind me. I never frocking speed. Merging onto a busy highway. To say the right words during a phone call or any formal events. I am always super paranoid that I forgot to lock the front door of my work. I've even gotten off of the train and gone back just to make sure it's locked. It always has been when I've gone back to check, and I should trust myself that I did it at this point. I now yell at myself as I'm doing it so I hear confirmation of it. 2. Before I step away. My mom was always really paranoid about this. 2. She would make us go back a couple minutes into road trips, so I guess it really rubbed off. Cutting my infant's fingernails. When someone says to me, "Can I be honest with you?" No. Lie to me. Please. Using I think. Aluminum measuring tape, but especially when clicking the button to make it roll back into its case. At the speed it recoils. I'm scared the tape will slice my hand right open. Driving over train tracks and bridges. It just scares me so much, and I have to cross bridges and train tracks to get to some places, so that doesn't help. Walking on them also scare me. Since I was 5 it always scared me. I don't know why, it just does. Job interviews. Talking to people. I have social anxiety. Makes me sweat just being around a group of people. After a while I get to know them and I warm up though. Handling my 6-month-old. They just seem so fragile and he is just so wiggly. I am constantly paranoid that I may accidentally drop him. To be honest, almost all the steps of parenting, now that I think about it. If I'm not afraid of accidentally bumping him, I am constantly worrying about what I need to do to be a good parent to him. Parallel parking. Going to the hospital. Killing a spider. Deployment. Phone calls. Talking to a border customs agent. Starting a new job, because I can't stand the first few weeks where I don't know what I'm doing. But I love walking into a job after 6 months or so when I might as well own the place cause they can't operate without me. Having blood drawn. I have to have it done pretty regularly. Blood doesn't gross me out, and I am also covered in tattoos and have had numerous piercings. So you'd think needles wouldn't faze me. But something about that little needle going into my vein and sucking out the blood, I always feel a wee bit nervous when I sit down in that chair. Driving. Talking on the phone in general. Coming face to face with people in my apartment building. After being in lockdown and working from home, I've become COVID stupid. I'm not able to even get out a hello. Scheduling appointments over the phone. Phone calls. Doesn't matter who it is or what it's for, I hate phoning people. I make scripts for myself in order to make doctor appointments so I don't forget anything. Don't even get me started if someone phones me. The heart attack I get every time. Honestly. 6. Walking behind a woman on a quiet street. Pooping in a public stall. Talking to people in general. I always simulate what kind of conversation that I would have in my head before I get into it, and it always goes to sideways. I get flustered and it somehow makes people that I talk to flustered as well. Flying in an airplane. I travel a lot for work and I still can't shake the anxiety buff it. I mean, you have zero control and can't see where you are going. On top of that, you have to trust a lot of people you don't know to be good at their jobs and hope there are no malfunctions. It's so nerve-wracking. Using a garbage disposal. Going through the car wash. Ever since I was kid, I've been scared the brush will destroy my windshield and then me. Talking to police. Getting near the top of a ladder. Driving next to a cop fully knowing I didn't do anything wrong. Answering the phone at work. Work is at a psych hospital, so calls range from someone who's psychotic, someone who's sad and just wants to talk, or someone who's seconds from suicide. The anxiety is high C. I've been teaching for over 10 years, but I always have nightmares the week leading up to the first day of school. Walking out onto stage in a packed house to please ask everyone to stop using flash photography. Turning left at the end of my street. Leaving the grocery store. I am always afraid that the alarm might go off. I've been playing guitar for 35 years. I play in cover and tribute bands, and every time we perform I am pretty nervous for at least the first couple of songs. I always ask myself why I am doing this. When it's over I'm super excited and can't wait to play again. Sending an email to any adult older than me. I'm 28. I read and reread and yet reread again before taking a picture and sending it to my husband to proofread it and giving me the okay to send. Discussing something I am well educated or very knowledgeable about. The pressure some people put on you to know everything about the topic gets me. Standing up for myself. Not sure if it's how I was raised or lingering PTSD from a violent childhood event or whatever, but my adrenaline immediately spikes expecting a confrontation. Even when just politely asking someone not to speak me in a certain tone or whatever. Every damn time. This will get buried, but going to work after the weekend, for whatever reason it always makes me anxious. Opening a can of Pillsbury dough. Probably making a phone call. I can never quite get it right or do it the right way. It always makes me nervous.